Greg, tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Greg Baldwin, principal of New Haven Academy.
And New Haven Academy is a
high school.
High school,
9th through 12th grade.
And I'm Waltrina Mullins. I'm a teacher at the Davis Street School. I teach 3rd grade in New Haven.
And Davis Street School, yes, is new. And you go from K to?
K to 8. Right now we're K through 7, but we're going to be a K through 8 by the time we're through.
Okay, welcome. Yeah. And Garth?
And I'm Garth Harries, Assistant Superintendent in the New Haven Public Schools.
And you're the leader of the reform movement.
I'm the architect. And
You're
there are lots of wonderful people like this are the leaders, but yes.
Okay, and you were with us for part 1.
Yes.
And this is part 2. And tell us, Garth, as the architect for this, what does this school reform mean? What's your vision for this change you're bringing about in New Haven?
Yeah, so our vision is that education needs to change dramatically in order to really enable our kids to be successful. We need to be sure that kids are having meaningful experiences in the classroom, meaningful and coherent experiences. We need to be sure that all the adults are taking collective responsibility for how students do, that it's not just one adult, and it's certainly not different adults pointing fingers at each other, but it's all of us working together. And we want to be sure that we're a system that encourages innovation and development and change. We know that we can do better in our school system, and we want to be sure that we're taking the steps. We have a vision that's powerful enough to get there.
Okay. Well, and we're going to show a graphic on the screen that says students learning through meaningful and coherent experiences in individual classrooms, among different classrooms, and in the rest of their lives. And this is really the key that both you and Dr. Mayo and everybody who teach in New Haven really want, right? This passion of children learning across classrooms and being prepared for the rest of their lives. I think it's appropriate we have Waltrina here who teach K through 8, and then we have Greg who's a high school principal, because you guys are you represent exactly all of this sphere that we want to cover in this. Now, let's talk first and foremost about the school reform in New Haven. What is different about this as opposed to other reform elsewhere, or as opposed to reform that took place before? What is different about what's happening today?
I think there are a couple things that are different. I mean, first of all, I think the vision that we just talked about really means changing the way that kids are educated. Fundamentally, we have had in this country and in New Haven what I'd describe as an industrial model of educating students. Kids are on a conveyor belt, and we open their heads and we insert the knowledge, and we ask them to spit it back to us on tests. And very clearly that doesn't work. It doesn't engage the students. It's not meaningful to them, which is why that part of the vision is so important. We are very self-consciously trying to bring together lots of different parts of reform, or different parts of the system. So we're trying to think about how we measure student learning. We're trying to think about how we manage schools and really encouraging school innovation. We're trying to think about how we work with adults. How do we work with teachers through the course of their career so that they can keep growing and developing? How do we do the same thing with principals? And finally, we're really trying to make sure that we work deeply with parents and the wider community to encourage their involvement. And I would say in New Haven and other places in the country, little pieces of that have happened, but what we think is unique about New Haven is the way we're bringing these pieces together, and also the way that we're doing this together as a team. Lots of urban districts are going through reform, but more often than not, it's happening through conflict between different groups.
Yes. You're in a school that is ranked at the top, and you're dealing with K through 8 kids. What, if anything, has changed at your school in the past year that this reform has been in place?
It's a difficult question to ask, because The teachers at Davis Street School really work hard, and we've always been collaborative in our approach.
Which is why you're a tier one.
Which is why we're tier one.
Yes.
If I could say anything that is changing at all, it's the fact that we're able to communicate with each other on an intergrade level. In other words, before, when it might be a team of third grade teachers who would collaborate with each other, now we're collaborating with grade 2 and grade 4. So then that way it's kind of scaffolded where you see where children are coming from, where they're going to, what needs to be examined in order to get them there. And we're really working hard
so
with
there are
that.
linkages from 2 to 3 to 4.
Yes.
The word that we use in the vision for that is coherence. It makes sense between the different parts. And I think it is important to say, Davis Street is a school that has for a long time been very innovative, and designating the school as a tier 1, I think, has really focused attention on what are some of the great things that happen at Davis, both between teachers, some of the parent activities.
And we have a lot
really
of
special
teachers
place.
who go the extra mile.
One of the things that many of our young people are criticized for is not being able to think critically, not being able to solve problems as they arise, and so often making poor decisions because they don't know how to think through. They don't know what are the critical stages to think through a problem. How does this reform take that into consideration and change that? What is happening in our schools, starting from kindergarten, that is going to focus on this critical thinking and learning piece?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge issue in Nzinga, and it is something that we're at the early stages of. We're encouraging a portfolio assessment system.
Yes.
We are trying to come up with better measures of learning than simply the state standardized tests.
Okay. Do you have portfolio management at your? Tell us what that means.
What it means is giving kids an opportunity to show what they know in various ways. I'll give you 2 specific examples. It happens at the small level and the large level. Our literature teachers teaching 9th and 10th grade literature, just finished a unit where they read the play Fences by August Wilson.
Yes.
Students, to demonstrate their learning, in addition to writing an essay, had to take a scene. 3 students each took a scene, and as a group reinterpreted it, had to perform it as part of a larger play, and then had to participate in a debate and discussion about what the character's motivation was and why they made the choices they made in the scene.
Great.
As a way of demonstrating their understanding, their thinking about it. Then they wrote about that in an essay and a reflection. I actually teach a class called High School Seminar, and the essential question we look at in the first quarter is, how do I become a good high school student? Students, all 9th graders in our school, just finished writing a letter to someone they know in their 8th grade, giving them advice about how to survive the first 2 months of high school.
Fantastic.
And we're mailing those letters, and we're asking for feedback from people as they share them. So it's taking learning and making it real and getting kids to really express themselves. So the exciting thing for us at New Haven Academy about what the district is now talking about is, how do we do that? How do we take learning to a different place besides just bubbling in a test, but getting kids to really show their understanding and reflect and think on it.
Will this reform that you're doing close that gap for New Haven kids?
We certainly hope so. I mean, that is part of the ambition. So when we talk about coherence, that includes between middle school and high school. That will take some work to do. I think some of what Greg was talking about earlier in terms of his freshman seminar, really concentrating on how do you welcome students to high school is an important part of it.
So this piece, Greg, you talk about this seminar.
Yes.
Do you have 8th graders come in before, or how do you link? Yes, when they get to you, they're 9th grade.
Yes.
How is there a linkage between, like, where do most of your 9th graders come from in the system?
We are a magnet school, so 65% of our kids come from all over New Haven. We represent probably in this year's 9th grade class at least 12 different New Haven schools represented. Then additionally, there's 35% of our kids come from other towns.
Oh, from outside
from outside of New Haven.
We're
an interdistrict magnet school. what we do as a magnet school is kids get accepted by lottery, but we spend the spring doing small orientation sessions for kids